Welcome back to GETM03 Ministries. This is part 3 with Pastor Trenton, my best friend. And, we were sitting here trying to remember where we left off, talking to everybody, been going through this, telling our story, about how we kind of grew up together in a sense and started ministering together and doing some things and trying to really trying to remember the order of everything. It's really hard. It means you're getting old, I guess, right? So I guess we're both getting... He's always going to be older than me,
It's
though.
a long story.
He's a year older than me, too, so...
You're talking 18 years worth of stuff, so there's a lot. We're trying to remember all of it.
I wish we could have recorded as we went along. It'd have been a whole lot easier.
Then we could just play it for y'all to see.
So I think last time we left off talking about the Bible study that we were doing, and we talked a little bit about Faux Christ, the rap group that we had started. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk more about Faux Christ and what that evolved into and what exactly that all led to. So our first album was called Christ-like. And I remember the CD cover was black and it had that wooden cross we put on it.
We had a cheap CD cover. I laid that cross on a black cloth or something when I snapped the shot. I'm like, oh, that'll work.
You remember the back of it, though, had that picture of that church, right?
Was it Atlanta or something?
You remember the story of that, though?
We took a road trip, y'all. And it was probably, November 2001. We took a road trip just so we could take pictures of city, because we didn't have any buildings or cities behind us.
And it was my camera, and tell them what I forgot to put in it.
The film?
The film.
I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah, didn't you remember? We took all them pictures on the trip on the way down there, and we got down there, and I'm like, there's no film in this thing. So on the way back, we had to stop at every place
to hit the ones we liked anyway,
and take the pictures again. So I felt so stupid. I don't even think the camera had batteries in it because back then it was one of those you had to roll the film in, you had to make sure it had batteries, and then whenever it was done, the film would rewind itself. It'd automatically rewind itself. And I'm like, man, this thing's really taking a lot of pictures.
For those of you listening, that's before your time. That was a little strip that we used to put in a camera to take pictures. And you couldn't let it expose the light.
No SD cards back then, so, I don't even think there's...
I forgot about
flash
that.
drives and all that stuff.
We stopped all the way back just to hit the pictures we liked. I remember that.
But that was let's go into that mission trip a little bit. And that was a lot. That's at the early years of Faux Christ, so...
we may have still just been talking. Have we recorded any music yet?
Yeah, I think we had some done because we were taking pictures for the album. So I'm pretty sure I think we had What It Is and a couple of those done. But
Christ-like, probably.
We went on the mission trip and we fasted before that mission trip. Remember that night we had fasted till midnight and we're eating.
We don't suggest this to any of you listening, but go ahead.
We fasted all day, 24 hours, and that night at midnight we're up raiding the refrigerator because we were so hungry.
We waited for midnight too.
But we got up the next morning, we took off, we went to Nashville. Where's the second place we went? We made it all the way to Atlanta.
Chattanooga?
Yeah.
And Atlanta.
In Atlanta. We went there, kind of... That was a new experience for us. We met a lot of cool things happened on that trip, though, and I think it was an eye-opener for us as, teenagers getting ready to step into adulthood. We were probably about, 19, 20, I think, at that time. So, we were stepping into 20s. That. So... But it was a lot of fun. We met a lot of cool people along the way. But for me, it was an eye opener because we had all these ideas of what we were going to do. We're going to go minister to all these people and do all this, and we get there and we've got these Bible tracts, and we're standing in this huge city, and we're like,
homemade Bible
tracts. Now what do I do?
We didn't buy Bible tracts. We bought bright paper and we designed our own track. So that we could hand it out to people, and we folded them.
Standing there in the city, like, now what do we do? Let's go hit up the streets. Let's go hit up the malls and
remember we had a goal. We set $1,000. If we hit $1,000, we'll go on this mission trip. And we hit $1,000, and we decided we was gonna go. So I think it was just a 4-day weekend. Really, is all we did. Right? Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, I had to I remember taking off work from working at the explosive factory that I worked at there and.
Drinking orange juice and water the day we fasted. That's it. Yeah. We did allow orange juice so we could get a little bit of sugar or something. But
on that trip, we met a guy named Richard. Now, was that in Atlanta or was that?
That was Nashville.
That was Nashville. Tell us what you remember about that.
was right outside of Dairy Queen. But for those of you who are thinking about ministering, I want to encourage you to do it, even though you're going to get rejected. Just expect to be rejected. Because I remember we went to hand out. We first parked. We were so excited. We were going to tell everybody about Jesus. We made our tracks. We were ready to go. And got walked up to my first person. It looked like some sort of a business person. There was a group of them. They were getting ready to cross the road. And I offered to tell them about Jesus. And the guy looked at me. He didn't even take my track. He said, I don't got time for this right now. And he ran across the street. And I remember, in order to encourage myself at that point, I looked at Brett and said, "He will care one day." I tried to. You had your chance right here. I was trying to
make time someday.
And so we tried to tell him about Jesus. And from that point, we kind of just started laying them in places we thought people would find them. Because maybe we chickened out a little. I don't know, but
we chickened out a little bit.
We went around the
story
city.
Progresses. Well, we did chicken out a little bit. But.
We went to the inside the buildings part of the city. So we were in the city. Now, the one rule I had and we had together was we will not be on the streets at night. Because we don't know what's going to happen in the city at night.
We got there early in the mornings.
Now, we pushed evening in Nashville because we got to talking to Richard. When we met a guy, it was right out in front of a Dairy Queen. I don't even know if that Dairy Queen's still there, but it was on the streets of Nashville. There was a little Dairy Queen. And there was a man sitting outside. And I think he had like a little sack or something he had with him. And I don't know what even triggered the conversation, but we started talking to him, and we had handed him a track, and we've come to find out he was a Christian, and he was a man that he was doing well for himself. And then he had a fiance, wife. I'm not really sure if they were married or anything.
I don't remember.
He got put in the hospital. Something happened, and he ended up in the hospital, and she took everything while he was in the hospital. So when he came out, there was nowhere to go. And he had no money. He had nothing because she took everything with her. So that was when we first realized that, hey, these hobos, these people on the street that people call hobos and stuff, they actually have a story. Some of them were rich at one point, and they lost everything. So, but we got to talking to Richard. I don't even remember everything we talked about. I think we kind of shared some testimonies, and he talked about the only thing he had was a Bible, and it was in his bag, and he showed us the Bible. And thing I remember next after we talked to him for a little bit, it was starting to get dark, so we was getting ready to head out. But he was trying to get to Mount Vernon, which we were headed the other way at that point. We prayed. We stood in a circle and we prayed in front of Dairy Queen on the street.
People
in the
staring
middle
at us.
Of Nashville.
Dairy Queen lady was outside smoking, staring at us.
Workers outside smoking cigarettes. Yep, because they were taking a smoke break from working in Dairy Queen, and we're praying, and we're just praying. And I mean, I remember at the same one, part of you is like, oh, well, I wonder what people are thinking of us, but the other part's like, this is it. This is what it's all about.
It's more important than passing out tracts at that point. That's.
Yeah. So we took and we prayed. I mean, we prayed. I don't know how long we prayed, but we prayed for a little bit. And
he was trying to do he wanted to do the Bible on audio. I remember that part. Remember, he was staying in a hotel. I think someone had put him up in a hotel for a couple of days, a homeless shelter or something. I don't remember, but he said he had a room for the weekend or something. And he was wanting to put the Bible on audio or on tape at the time. For those of you that don't know what a tape is, it's old school cassette
tape.
But that was, I remember him saying that was part of his goal. But I wanted him to talk about Richard because, we chickened out a little bit when it come to passing out the tracts and walking up to people. But when push came to shove and you're down there on the streets with people, you will be surprised what God will do. If the only reason we went on that trip was to meet that guy and to pray with that guy.
Well, we met another one too, but that was in Atlanta. But we'll talk about him in a minute. I don't want to get off.
We met a few people along the way, but
some interesting characters.
He's the one I remember the most because he was a Christian and he was hurting and he was just looking for somebody to care about him, to take time and listen to him. So at that point, to me, it's like all the tracks and everything, all that went out the window. It's, now we're doing God's work. We're doing what. The Great Commission, what he sent us out to do. It's like you could pass tracts out all day long, and that's good. I'm not knocking that. I mean, we left tons of tracts. I don't know how many we had, but we left tons of them. But that day, I mean, if that's what we accomplished all them years ago on that trip was speaking to that guy, and who knows what that prayer may have changed that guy's life.
It changed our life.
I mean,
we're looking at it like, wow, this guy's got a story. Because, we usually think of those people on the street, they don't have a story, but they've all got a story. And
they're not just all people begging for money. They're people that maybe had it all and lost it all and are trying to figure out a way out of it, Or just good, wholesome people that had a bad streak of luck, because that can happen to anybody, and that's what we don't think about. So, and that's kind of what happened to him. So,
but I don't know if he'll ever watch this video, but if you do, Richard, we still remember you, man. I mean, I don't know that he'll ever see it. I don't even know if he's still around anymore. Yeah, but
I wish we would have. Of course, you can't get contact information from a homeless person
because there's no contact. But this gets back to everything we've talked about in the last couple of shows he's put on. It's all about doing something. Yeah. And I mean, because we were there at that moment, who knows, he may have got a ride the next day. Because we were there at that divine appointment that God had for us, God changed not only him and encouraged him, but it encouraged us to know that, hey, there are other Christians out here that are struggling too. So, and just talking to him, I mean, the encouragement from just him talking about the Bible and stuff. I mean, I don't remember what exactly was said, but I'll always remember the conversation we had. So, and then we hopped up the road to Chattanooga. I don't remember meeting. Oh, we did do one. We stopped. We ate a lot of Waffle Houses on this trip.
Yeah,
it was about every city we stopped at a Waffle House.
That one Waffle House I'll never forget. Anyway, let's move past that. Let's move past that. But
I remember blessing. I'm gonna say it because goes along with this is encouragement because Christians, we're saved, but we're in the devil's realm right now. The devil's running things right now. God's coming back to take it. But, so, I left remember we leaving a tip for that waitress? Mm-hmm. I left her, for me it was a huge tip. I'd never given anybody a $10 tip at that point. And I left her a $10 tip on that table.
This is like 20 years ago too. So
2001. So yeah,
about 17 years ago. So keep that in mind too, money was different back then. A little different.
So I remember leaving it on that table and she's like, is this what you're paying with your check for? And I'm like, no, that's your tip. She said, okay. She took the track, stuffed it in the drink. I was like, really?
Took the money out of the track.
She took the money.
And then took the track.
Stuffed the track in the trash, like inside of my tea or one of our drinks that was sitting there. And then she went up and took my check. And I'm like, really? You're not even going to take a moment to read this?
You couldn't even say thank you for the tip.
Yeah. Oh, and remember when we were in Nashville, we stopped at that big church down there. Was it Two Rivers or something Baptist? A big church down there.
Wasn't it the Nazarene Church of the Nazarene or something like that?
I think it was Two Rivers Baptist. I think I remember seeing it on a Ken Freeman
video.
I
think the Nazarene Church is where we took the picture of the cross.
Yeah, that's probably what that is. But this is all coming back to me. This is his show, by the way. I'm just talking, but
this is us talking, trying to remember.
This is all coming back to me, but I don't even. What was I talking about? I was in Nashville, and we was taking $100. God had told us to give $100 of what we had from the money we saved to help someone. And we took it to the church hoping, because you got to understand, at this point, we've never seen a church that had 12 pastors. There was more than one pastor. We walked up to the door at like the shelter and we're like, hey, is your pastor here? We like to talk to him. We was going to give him the money, right? She's like, which one? I'm like, well, how many do you have? And she said, 12. I'm like, 12 pastors?
Let's talk to the main one.
This is the main one? Oh, no, he's not here. So we ended up leaving the money with that lady. She said it was going to help.
Yeah, but see, there was more to that story, though. Remember that they were having I think the homeless people or something had come in that day. And they had a program there where you had to work and they would give you clothes. Remember, they were asking us.
I remember all that.
They were asking us about talking to the pastor that was in charge of whatever was going on. We're like, no, we're not here for this. It's like, we have an offering. We want to give your church a gift offering. And they perked up. They perked up then when
she took our
money. They thought we were homeless, trying to basically rummage through a box of clothes, and they were going to put us to work to get some clothes and stuff like that. Yeah, and I was like, no, we ain't here for that, lady. We're here to give you guys something. So. And then,
we didn't know they were having something special. We just kind of showed up.
Well, we just walked into, a church that big. There's a pastor there, somebody, a church leader or something. Somebody's there somewhere. But
she took the money. Said it was going to help some lady with the rent, which we can't say where it ended up. Hopefully it did. So hopefully it did. But
let's move on to Atlanta, and then I guess we'll end the show after that part.
I'll let you start with Atlanta.
I don't remember I remember a few things about Atlanta. I remember walking up the streets and seeing a lot of homeless people and a lot of things going on there. I remember us kind of leaving tracks. There was that one guy kind of sitting on that railing. I guess it was like a concrete slab or whatever that kind of went down, and we stuck a track in his backpack without him knowing.
He was sleeping or something, right?
Yeah, he was sleeping. We stuck a track in there. But the one thing I remember the most, and I'm pretty sure this was Atlanta, was the homeless man. That I think this was a big culture shock for both of us, because we were like,
man.
I don't know how to say this and not sound mean, but I think we realized at that point we were in the realm of this person's not all there, not all upstairs. Because we've talked to him, and we're giving out a little bit of money here and there, just making sure they're getting something to eat with the money and things like that. But I remember this guy because I remember you had exactly a $5 bill in your pocket.
I remember.
And this guy, he starts talking about our he took our track, and he starts dissecting the track one letter at a time and applying each word and each letter to a body part on him. And we're looking at each other like, what did we walk into?
See, this could be translated need. And
need,
like,
to know, to need. And we were just like, and I know as crazy as that sounds, that's exactly how it sounded.
Literally what he said.
It was all a bunch of gibberish, really.
Or it could just mean what it says.
But he did go. He goes, right now, we tried to give him $1 or something like that.
I don't think we were giving him any money yet. He was talking about needing money.
Because I don't think we felt led to give him any money. And he says, well, right now, I know that. And he pointed at Trenton and says, I know you got a $5 bill in your pocket. And I looked at Trenton, I'm like, holy smokes, you got exactly a $5 bill in your pocket.
Like, how do you know?
I was like, is this dude an angel or something, But that's really all I remember about that. And, there was a McDonald's down the street. I think you ended up giving him the $5, and we watched him going to the McDonald's. It was a Burger King or McDonald's. Walked in there, and we stood there and made sure he got himself something to eat. And
so we knew that he was going to probably blow it on liquor or something if we didn't make sure that's what it was.
At that point, we didn't know. We didn't understand. Is this dude drunk? Or is he just been out here for quite a few years and he's losing it?
Strange. It was the strangest encounter I think I've had to this day.
Yeah, it was something else.
It was a really strange encounter.
I want to share that too, and also to say, don't let anything discourage you, because you are going to meet people like you've never met before in this life. And especially, being a pastor or being in church leadership, you're going to have to deal with all kinds of people. And just even being a Christian out in the world, we're called to love all different kinds of people. And that day, it was me and him that were called to love this guy. And we're both looking at each other, trying to exactly figure out how God wants us to love this guy, because we didn't know what to do. But
he was talking over us. I mean, he wasn't.
Yeah, he wouldn't let us talk. But that was our mission trip. We packed up and
our own mission trip. It wasn't with the church. We just took some money and went.
Saved up some money and went and did something. I've always wanted to go back and do something like that.
We're going to someday. We got kids now, so it's harder to.
A little more experience too. Maybe that won't be as long of one or as far away, but
yeah.
So that was our mission.
Something.
That was our mission trip that we did, and
we're getting ready to do a new show. Y'all gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute.
Just briefly,
we're getting ready to. Me and Trenton's going to start a new show. This one here is my show, and Trenton's got his own show that he's doing. I'm going to be doing some Bible studies and different things like I've talked about on here, and I'm going to be getting some other people in for interviews. Dane, I've been talking to you. Dane's a little nervous about it.
What's up, Dane?
So I'm going to be getting some people in. My next series of shows that I'm probably going to be doing, I'm going to be talking about salvation. What salvation is, what Scripture says that it is, and how it's Scripture says that it takes place and things in our lives. And then I'm hopefully going to get some interviews and have people explain their salvation experience. So I might get you in for that one too. But this new show that we're going to be doing,
Let's Talk.
Let's Talk. Yeah, it's going to be cool. It's just going to be me and Trenton. We're going to be doing different topics. It could be could range from anything, just different topics in the Bible.
I'd like to get some special guests in at some point.
Yeah, that'd be good too, to have some other people come in. And one of the things that I want to get from the show too is opinions. Just because me and Trenton's friends. Me and Trenton have ministered together for years, but me and Trenton don't always agree perfectly on everything, and that's okay. That's normal, because it's just. It's how you learn. It's things that you learn. It's the way that you see things, and it's nothing that to break fellowship over. And that's one of the things that I want to focus on too. Is people have to this mess with denominations and breaking fellowship, and I can't hang out with you because you wear jeans to church and just different things like that. And that's one of the the things that's God's not called the church to be. God, He told us what the church is supposed to do. We're supposed to go out and we're supposed to tell people about Christ and bring them into the kingdom of God. And it's not about breaking fellowship over denominational differences.
There's always going to be disagreements. So, but you cannot divide, like he's saying, fellowship. You can't, create division over those. The essentials we have to agree on, which is the base stuff like salvation. We have to agree on that. Baptism, all that stuff. But then there's the non-essentials, which we all have opinions on, and we think this is maybe the way it should be done, whatever. Those things we can compromise on that stuff. But then there's the everyday life. We need to be loving each other, and that's kind of what our show Unified talks about a little bit. And that's why it's called Unified, because the only way to create unity is to grow together in what you have in common. Don't talk about what's going to divide you. I mean, that's going to always be there, but grow together in what you can relate with whoever you're doing it with, and that's Jesus. Jesus is always the center. Salvation is always the center. So, but I just mentioned, if y'all into Bible study, go check out my show. If you're not subscribed to Next Level Freedom Church on YouTube, do that. Go check out the Bible study I'm doing through Mark right now. The actual series is called Through the Book, and right now we're going through Mark. So it's just something that I feel like God told me to do to help people have Bible study time. So go check that out if you get a chance. But I'm not trying to promote or nothing. So
no, go ahead, man.
But check us out when we do Let's Talk. It's going to be great. So
yeah, let's hopefully next week we'll get some of them recorded. Hopefully. I actually got sick this following week. We were going to have it and probably have it available for this week maybe, but I got sick. I'm sorry. But so yeah, it's going to be called Let's Talk, so make sure and check that out. Be on the lookout for it. And if you're not subscribed to this show, subscribe to this show. Make sure you hit the like button. Hit it really good. Hit it really hard. And hit the bell as well. That way you get all the notifications about the new shows. And yeah, we'll see y'all next time. Thanks for tuning in. God bless.